Hi there, Natalia. Nice to see that you've written some essays for us. Let's see straight away what you've written. Things like puzzles, board games, and pictures can contribute to a child's development. What would you give a child to help him or her develop, and why? Give examples, details, examples. Okay, fine. I have to be honest with you and tell you that this is an oddly phrased topic for IELTS. So it's not kind of the typical thing that we usually see in an IELTS task 2, but okay, let's see what you did with this. It is common sense among educators that using games is useful for helping kids' development. Considering puzzles, board games, or pictures, I believe puzzles are adequate to give to a child since it can be easily adapted to several age ranges. On this essay, I will go under the arguments for this choice. Okay, so the good news is that the structure of your introduction is fine. It's a nice order, it's good organization, but there are some problems with word choice and grammar. So let's look at it again. First of all, we never use the word kids in IELTS. It's considered too informal, so definitely choose children instead. And then look at this grammatically. You say puzzles to give to a child since they can be easily adapted to several age ranges. In this essay, I will go into the arguments for this choice, okay? So some word error slash grammatical problems there, okay? The proper use of games to help a child's '(s) development depends on the age of the child. For instance, board games can be more suitable for children from 7 to 10 years old, but pictures might be better for babies between 6 months to 2 years old. Board games like Monopoly, for example, usually come with small pieces which can be smelled by small children. Also, the use of pictures can be considered boring for an 8-year-old. Okay, fine, let's keep going. On the other hand, puzzles can be helpful for children under 2 years old as well as for 10-year. Here, this is an adjective, so there should be no S on it. 10-year-old boys and girls. Between 2 and 3 years, it is better to use puzzles with large parts and with pictures of animals, numbers, and colorful shapes to help in the distinction of these objects, as well as in the development of logical thinking. Besides the skills mentioned, puzzles can also help enhancing one essential aptitude for life, which is patience. It is necessary to find the right pieces of the puzzle and which can be crucial for good emotional health in adulthood. Okay. Overall, games are extremely important to develop several social and individual capabilities through puzzles is one of the few that can do it regardless of age and also improve the emotional intelligence, which is a skill usually neglected, however essential. Okay. Overall, this was good. If I had any sort of issue with this essay anywhere, it would have been in this paragraph. I agree with you that it's nice to talk about the other side. So what do I mean? I mean that you said you think that puzzles are the best sort of game to help a child's development, and you decide to talk about the other options of the task mentioned in the first paragraph, and I agree with you. I think that's a good way to develop this. I think what I wanted was a little more structure. I wanted a little more explanation about why you chose to talk about these here. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me explain to you what I mean. I think that there should have been a sentence here saying that some people believe that board games and pictures are important for a child's development, yet these are not appropriate for all ages, or these don't have the relevance to all age groups that some other options do. So do you understand? You needed to give an explanation. You need to provide a topic sentence that gives some explanation as to why you were analyzing these, okay? And then ideally you would also have a conclusive statement here, pretty much summarizing what you said in that first sentence. So that's my problem with this paragraph. Not that you chose to write about board games and pictures. You rightly did so, but you just needed to frame it a little better, okay? Let's see. A lot of your writing, Natalia, is very natural, so I liked a lot of it. But it might be some of the sentences you could have avoided. I would have liked to see a little more academic style. It just feels a little too, I don't want to say informal, but just not terribly academic. So let me tell you what I mean. Let's look at this paragraph. You said, on the other hand, puzzles can be useful for children under 2 years old, as well as for 10-year-old boys and girls. Between 2 and 3 years, it is better to use puzzles with large parts and with pictures of animals, numbers, and colorful shapes to help in the distinction of these objects, as well as the development of logical thinking. So it's an advanced sentence. There's lots of different parts to it, and that's great. But some of the language still feels a little too conversational, and I'm wondering if maybe you could have also left some of this out. So this part here, it is better to use puzzles with large parts. I didn't really care for that. I felt like it just wasn't academic. So alternatively, you could have written something like, between 2 and 3 years, children benefit from puzzles with large parts and with pictures of animals, numbers, and colorful shapes, as they help in the distinction of these objects as well as in the development of logical thinking. So you can see how just changing around some of the words really lifts the sentence to another level, one that is more academic. Okay? Okay, so that's pretty much my feedback here. For your first attempt, it's good though. I'm happy with it. You've got some nice elements. I'm glad that you used a 4-paragraph structure. A lot of this is going well, rather, I should say. So, good. Let's take a look now at this letter. You ordered an item from an online store and it has arrived damaged. Write a letter to the retailer to complain. In the letter, explain why you're unhappy, request a refund, make arrangements. Okay. Dear Mr. or Madam Manager of the Children's Factory. Okay, well, not really. I would have preferred if you had just written a very simple, Dear Sir, Madam. That would have been a better choice. And of course, you have to write a comma at the end of that, not a full stop. So this should really just say, Dear Sir or Madam, I am writing to complain about a toy I ordered from your online store 1 month ago. I decided to purchase an all-wood railway train set for my daughter since she always plays, careful with your typing, with one when we go to the library playground. What a disappointment when it was delivered with lots of broken parts. All of the thinner wood parts were, no H, in small and sharp pieces. I don't know what that means here. Were in small and sharp pieces. At first we thought we could ask to replace it, but the general state of the toy made us realize that it can easily break into tiny parts, which could be harmful for my 2-year-old girl. Therefore, I would like a full refund. I am sure I can return the railway. Well, the train set, really. I am sure I can return the train set to the store as soon as possible. In fact, it would be perfect if you could send someone next Tuesday, capital T, December 18th at 4 p.m. The address is this, Vancouver, this. I hope to hear from you soon. That's right. So, let's say if you did everything you're supposed to do. Explain why you are unhappy. Okay, it was broken. You requested a... Okay, this is what was strange to me. Because check it out. It says here, make arrangements to return the damaged item. But this is strange. You're saying that you want to return it to the store, and then you say, have them send someone. Send someone where? To the store? It doesn't really make sense to me. So, what are you saying? That you and the train company people are going to meet at the store? It just seems kind of strange. I almost feel like we're missing a piece of information, we're missing an extra sentence or some sort of explanation as to how this will somehow facilitate the return of the train. So that just seems a little strange to me. Okay, other than that, most of this is fine. You did everything. One last thing here. Two last things, actually. Because you don't know the name of the person you were writing to, okay, and I think we agreed that dear sir or madam is the right way to do this. What you have to end your letter with is yours faithfully. Okay, it's a convention of letter writing when we don't know the name of the person we are writing to. So it should be yours faithfully, comma, and then you don't need a full stop at the end of your name. It might seem like a detail, but I assure you it's not. It's pretty important in the IELTS world. So keep that in mind, okay? So thanks for sending in these essays. I think you've got a couple of more waiting for correction. So we'll look at them next. Okay, so let's see how you did with those. Okay, and here's the second set of essays you sent. Let's take a look at these as well. The school library is seeking applicants for a job over summer break. Okay, introduction, your skills, why you want the job. Great. All right, dear manager of the school library, comma, and perhaps you should capitalize all the major words. Okay, manager, school library, that would be fine. Let's see. I write regarding an open position for a summer job at the library. I have a major in education from the University of British Columbia, as well as here a master degree, which should be capital M apostrophe S, in infant literature. Okay. I'm an educator who has been away from the education field since I gave birth to my daughter, who is now 2 years old. Okay, I worked in elementary schools for over a decade and have more than 3 years of experience in school libraries. During these THESE, because it's plural, years, I was responsible for organizing the library and also worked, with storytelling as well as planning. I worked with planning. Okay, fine. Winter activities for the children in the library. The years I worked at school libraries were the happiest of all my career. Now, after 2 years away from that, I would like to be responsible for a school library again. I can see that this opening is an opportunity for me to slowly get back to my profession and still have time to be with my daughter. I am sure that my education experience can fulfill the school library needs, and I hope to hear from you soon. Sincerely, Miss Natalia Smith. Let's see. Okay. Alright, it's lovely. It's very nice. Again, your writing here is in a very natural style. Yeah, there are a couple little mistakes, but nothing really serious. What I want you to work on is writing in language that's a little more formal, okay? Let's see where you could have done that. Okay, like for here, for example, I can see that this opening is an opportunity for me to slowly get back to my profession and still have time to be with my daughter, okay? Instead, how about something like, I am confident that this is the ideal opportunity for me to return to my profession while still allowing time for my family. Okay, it's just a little more formal sounding. Furthermore, I am sure that my education experience can fulfill the school library needs. Why don't we, again, raise the level of the language a little bit and say something like, based on my education and experience, I am certain I can fulfill the school library needs. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Okay? It's just a little more formal. So that's what I would like you to try to do. I'd like you to just try to make everything sound a little more formal. It might help if you read some formal letter samples to see what kind of writing I'm referring to. Like I said, everything was pretty accurate and nice, but just again a little, just a touch too informal. Okay, let's see. Like this, now after 2 years away from that, I would like to be responsible for school library again. It's lovely, but again, let's see how we could change that a bit. Something like having taken a 2-year leave from my profession, I would like to be responsible for a school library again. Okay, that's the kind of language I mean. So again, just take a look at some formal letter samples and see what kind of writing, what kind of language is used. And hopefully in a follow-up letter, I can see you trying to, make some efforts to make your language a little more formal. Okay, let's take a look at this. Great. Doing an enjoyable activity with a child. Okay. In this essay, I will describe why I agree with the statement that engaging in a nice activity with children has the power to make you more creative as well as enhance other capabilities, and that it is even better than reading. Okay, this is a little too, let me phrase this differently. This is much different than your first introduction. Your first introduction had a really nice structure where you started from general to really specific. Here, you skipped all of that and you went right to a specific, what you're going to talk about in the essay. So I wanted all that general. I wanted at least a couple of sentences in this introduction. Let's see. The other thing I'm a little concerned with is that you make it sound like the adult is going to develop creativity. And I don't think that's what the essay here means. I think they're saying that the child will develop better skills and creativity. So let's see how you develop it, and maybe I'm wrong, but let's see what you said. To begin with, when we read a story, we have it ready, and we have used some of our creativity, but not as much as creating our own story. I can tell that since I have a 2-year-old daughter who requires much of my attention. With her, I have to create a new story or music every day. I even have to create new stories over the same book to entertain her. It has made me be more creative, especially with tasks that require no flexibility. Okay, this is exactly what I was worried about. You've interpreted it to be that the adult the adult develops more creativity, but that's not what the essay really is trying to say here. The focus of the essay is that the child develops better skills and more creativity when doing an enjoyable activity and not while reading. Okay, so that's what's going on here. Now, having said that, let's take a look at this paragraph. Clearly, you have a nice grasp of English. Most of this is accurate. Yeah, there are some mistakes, but nothing very problematic. Your writing flows nicely. But again, just like with the other things that I read earlier, it's a little conversational, and there was a sentence here or two that you probably could have excluded or rewritten. So let me show you what I mean. First of all, what is the point of this paragraph? What are you trying to tell me? So what's missing for me is a topic sentence that essentially acts like an introduction to your paragraph. So what are you saying? Are you trying to say that clearly reading is something that develops creativity? I wasn't sure if that's what you were trying to say. So let's look at this paragraph again. So to begin with, when we read a story, we have it ready, and we have to use some of our creativity, but not as much as creating our own story. Okay, this sentence really felt out of place for me. Okay, and then, okay, this as well. You probably could have taken these. I see what you're trying to say. Okay, but I don't really see how that helps you, this whole paragraph. Essentially, you're supposed to be talking about reading and how it helps develop skills and creativity in the child. Okay, so you said here, it has made me more creative. So that's wrong. You're supposed to be focusing on how all of this helps the child. But if we kind of just ignore that for a moment, okay, and assume that the way you interpreted this essay is correct, there are still some problems with some of these sentences that they don't really link together, like this and this. You needed to somehow rewrite and make it kind of progress a little more concisely, okay? Also, you say here, especially with tasks that require flexibility. So what do you mean? What are these tasks that require flexibility? So that's the kind of sentence that requires a little support and explanation or some sort of illustration of what you mean. Okay? So let's look at the next paragraph. Playing with children, again, can also develop other skills such as empathy and patience. For instance, every time I play some game with my child or my nephew, besides creativity, I also have to be empathetic to understand what their perspective of the game or story is, so we all have a good time. This does not have to be question form. This has to be sentence form. Okay, so just be aware of that. Also, I learned that there is no point in being in a hurry to do something because it will happen in their time. For example, when deciding what to do next in a game, I have to let my daughter finish, note 2, her sentences alone in her own time so she can explain what she wants to do, note does. Okay, so first off, we've already discussed how this is a misinterpretation of the task. Okay, this is not how adults develop, but how children develop. Okay, so I've already said that, so I'm not going to go into it again. Let's talk about the rest of it, though. Let's see. Again, there's a lot of conversational language here. It feels very, it all feels like it's written in a way that is very similar to how we speak and not so much how we write. I don't want to go into how you could change that. Instead, what I would like to see from you, Natalia, is an essay that is more on topic, so I can suggest to you some ways to make the writing sound more academic than in this essay, which is, like I said, a misinterpretation of the topic. All right, let's take a look now at this. To conclude, playing with children, especially in games which require interaction, storytelling, or physical activities, can enhance creativity, memory, flexibility, and empathy. Therefore, it is probably more useful. It is probably more useful than reading a book. Okay, fine. You didn't talk about memory at all, did you? I don't think so. So essentially, you don't want to mention something in your conclusion that you didn't mention in one of your body paragraphs. I don't remember seeing something about memory. So I would have excluded this, okay? Okay, so let me see. What else do I want to talk about? The other thing, no, I don't think that there's anything else that I really want to talk about, except for maybe this. We have a good time. Generally, there are certain words in IELTS essays that I prefer not to see. There are words like good, bad, nice, small, and big. Okay? There are so many other words in the English language that sound much more academic than these words. So I would ask you in the future to try to use those instead. All right? For example, you could have said here what their perspective of the game or story is so that we may all enjoy ourselves. All right, it's just a little better sounding. So that we may all have an enjoyable experience. Okay, so it just sounds a little more formal, a little more academic. All right, that's pretty much it for now. What you need to do now, Natalia, is to correct these essays based on this video correction and send them back to us corrected. Then you also need to start an error correction list where you write down all of the mistakes that you made, and then next to each mistake, just write down what the corrected version should be. You will add to this list with every subsequent essay correction you get back. So send that to us as well, and then of course also supply a new set of essays. Try to do this all within the next day or so you can really apply everything you've been learning. I'm here. I'm waiting to see what you write next, so good luck with it. Thanks for submitting these essays, and I look forward to seeing your next set of writing.